Yesterday was a wonderful day where I had some fun doing a bunch of gardening, and I've written down all these little things. I'll share them with you. There's a little picture of my little avocado plant that was all root bound and stuff. I suddenly had these realizations and realized why it's so wonderful. Just the ordinary things of life can speak truth to us. I wanted to share them with you. They're just wonderful. So first of all, here it is. There was like dirt on the floor, and like in doing the pouring some water on there was like messes of mud and everything, and getting the plant repotted into the new pot, the larger pot. And I was thinking, my gosh, I guess there's no way to do this without messes, because messes are just a part of life. They're inevitable. Uh, because if we want to grow outside of our narrow existence, like a plant, when it's root bound and all the roots are just, ooh, there's no way that their lives can be any better without taking them out of their where they're used to, putting them into a larger pot and giving them some extra space so they can grow, right? But the process of doing that is messy. And so I suddenly realized that it's not something that we have a choice. We can't have a perfectly neat life. And the plant too. I'm very sensitive to these little creatures. And so as I was, pulling the plant out of its old pot and getting it out, I felt the poor plant going, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" It was scary. It was scary for the plant to be taken out of that environment, even though I did it very gently and put it into a bigger pot with lots of new dirt and all kinds of fun things around it. So but it was scary. And that's the way it is with us and life. Life, you can't have life without messes. I drew these little illustrations. I'll stick them in later when I get it. I'll chop it up and stuff. But from the moment of germination of life and a seed growing, from the germination to the growth to the birth, and then more growth, and then the blossoming, and then it making seeds of the future itself, and then final death. Every stage of life has its own messes. So when you think about it, okay, even before a seed is planted, you have to prepare the dirt. You have to prepare the ground for it to grow in. And like our lives, it's messy. But before that, even birth itself is very messy. And when you think about it, there's like, okay, birth is messy, right? But out of it comes a thing unknowable and fine. And then growth keeps going and becoming what it was meant to be inside of it wants to come out. So whatever is inside of a seed, it wants to grow into what it was meant to be. So as just like a little seed has to go pushing through all the rocks, and every single seed has to, in a sense, struggle for its life, but it's growing, it's moving, it's going up. If a seed is given what it needs to develop into its full potential, then it can become the best version of itself. Here are the inevitable messes. I've made a list of them. Okay, there's eating. That makes a mess. Oh my gosh, the preparation and then the cleanup, right? It's messy. Making food and eating itself is a mess. And then afterwards, there's elimination. And everybody knows that's messy. And then, procreation, sex, that's messy. But it's fun. And then let's see what else. And after that, then there's birth, right? Because birth, the new life, that's really messy. If you've ever been present at a birth, or if you've given birth yourself, you know how messy it is. Thank goodness the doctors and the nurses are cleaning up after you. I mean, if a mom had to clean up the mess after she gave birth, it would be very exhausting. And I'm sure there are a lot of women in third world countries who have to do that. And it's extremely messy. So then, and life itself is messy, right? And then, not only that, but then there's death and disposing of the remains. Mess is a part of life. We can't avoid messes, but we can try not to make them so bad, right? So this is what I realized, that there's another way that people make messes, and those are the emotional messes that we make. We actually make things worse by complaining, by expecting everything to go our way, by yelling. And there's tears. Tears are inevitable, but tears are there for a good reason, because we can release things through our tears. But the way we make things worse is when we stuff our feelings and we don't allow them to come out. And that's like being root bound in a way. Not allow ourselves to have a drain in our pot, and releasing all the toxins and eliminating things, because elimination is so important too. Things go in and then they have to go out. So if we have feelings, we can't let them build up. And a lot of times people make messes, their emotional messes, worse by trying to manipulate other people to do things the way they think it should be done. And all they do is thwart life when they do that. Like by misunderstanding people and assuming things, assuming the world revolves around them. And I'm sure you all have experience with somebody like that in your life. When we assume that the world revolves around us, we make an ass out of you and me. Assume, right? You knew that. I'm sure you've heard that. Maybe you haven't. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So there are a lot of times when ways that people assume things. They'll say, oh, that person walked by me and they didn't smile. That must mean they don't like me. Well, maybe their mother just died or something happened and there's another reason why they're not smiling. But we assume it all revolves around us, and it's really, oh, we're the center of the universe. So our self-centeredness gets in the way. One person that I know, their method of food preparation is they want to cook with the least amount of utensils possible. And so when I went to cook at their house one day, I was going to prepare dinner at their house and we would have some fun. So I brought all my pots and I brought all the food and I started cooking and making it, as nice as I could. And I made this big mess in the kitchen and it was a lovely dinner. So, but the whole time the person was saying, oh, but you've made so many messes. Oh, you've used so many pots. There's so much to clean up now. And I thought, well, I don't mind. I'll clean it up. It's not your job. But because their philosophy of cooking was different, the end result of the cooking that was produced when they would try to just make the least amount of messes was not as tasty as when I was able to be creative and make a total mess in the kitchen. So I was thinking of what an analogy to art, for instance. when you're painting, imagine if they only gave you one size paintbrush and one color, and that's all you were given ever. And you are not allowed to branch out. It would be a very limited amount of art. Perhaps you would do well, but it'd be limited. So sometimes trying to be too neat limits our choices. Sometimes somebody kicks the anthill. Things happen inevitably, and we all scurry around and try to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. So that is exactly what life happens, whether we want it to or not. But the thing that's the inevitability of messes, that if you remind yourself that that's the way life is, then you can let go and realize there's a bigger picture. Let go and let God, whatever you believe life to be, that's the way life is. So God can take the mess of you and he can make the best of you. So give him the rest of you and let him his blessings do. That's my message today. Don't be afraid that messes are going to be terrible, or that you can avoid them all the way. We can avoid the messes that are our causing. But all creativity makes a mess of one sort or another. And those are the kind of messes that you don't want to avoid. As long as you're willing to clean up your mess, let it be. Enjoy the mess. It's part of creativity. God bless you guys, and thank you for coming by. And let's talk again soon.